What up, everybody? You're now tuned into the true definition of a sports fanatic. I'm your host, Brandon Lampley, back today with another live stream. Man, those Jags went to Dallas. Man, that's the first time that I probably have watched a Jaguar preseason game beginning to end. I watched every single snap of that game. You know, in years past, especially when the he who shall not be named was the coach. And those preseason games, after about a quarter or two, I'm like, oh, man, this is going to cut this off. But the Dallas game, man, watching the young guys ball out, I mean, it was crazy. And I've heard a couple guys say this, so, I paid attention. I seen it for myself, and I'm going to get your opinion on this as well as we go along, Mr. Reid, is that this draft class for the Jaguars, from what we've seen from OTAs, training camp, and what they've seen in Dallas and what they're currently doing in Detroit, you might be looking at about 8 to 9 guys who are key contributors, with 6 to 7 being starters within the next 2 years. I mean, they're that good. I mean, that's just what it is. That's what I saw. But we also going to talk about Jadaveon Clowney visiting the Jaguars, talk about Danica Patrick and some of her comments she had on F1 racing as far as women are concerned. And we're going to talk about a little bit of James Harden. Oh, did I do that? I think I did that. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit of James Harden, of course. And let's see, what was that? Oh, Michael Oher. Yes, the blind side. Yes, Michael Oher and the blind side. And man, that story is looking worse by the day. So we're going to break it down. But I got my co-host with me again once again today. How you doing today, Mr. Reid?
Doing good. Football season. Doing good, man. I enjoyed watching the Jaguars, keeping up with them. So, yeah, every day is a good one.
Oh, absolutely. So that's what we're going to jump straight into, the Jags. And, man, I'm telling you, I like what I saw, man. The especially from the young group. Now, the starting offense, people, there's a little bit of rumblings about it or whatever because the interception and then the 3 and out, but then they came right back down, bing, bang, boom, touchdown, 2-point conversion, and look good. Today against Detroit, Trevor looked good, seeing that 80-yard bomb to Calvin Ridley. Calvin is going to be a problem, man. I mean, I don't know if you saw, you pay attention, Mr. Reid. Calvin was getting like a 15-yard cushion to start the game. Like they were playing way off of Calvin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were. That's the difference when you got a guy who can run routes and got speed. And I mean, even in this, workout against the Detroit today, he just based on the video that the Jaguars released on Twitter. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would say that touchdown catch he had was probably about 60, 65 yards. But, that's what's going to make this team a lethal team when it comes out to offense. He can get behind the defense, and you're going to have to put a safety on him. And even if you double cover him, it leaves everything open in the middle. But, going back to that Dallas game, I thought those guys, the one thing that I thought stood out to me, obviously, no surprise on offense. I know a lot of people have been talking about the one interception that Trevor threw, but I like the way that they just top to bottom. First, you go from the starters to the fourth string. Mm-hmm. I thought they played physical the whole game. They physically matched up against Dallas, and I say they beat them physically up front.
Yeah, they did.
And I think the Jaguars I think this rookie class they got, I don't know if they're going to have any instant starters other than Antoine Harrison, but I like the depth. I like the class and those guys. I think they're going to make an impact, whether it's special teams, whether they come in or somebody get hurt. I like what I saw from say first round pick through fifth round pick. So
yes,
but so much talk about their defense, man. I mean, we're gonna be obvious. I don't sugarcoat. I didn't see nothing from Jadaveon Chason.
Yeah,
I think
go get
that's
him out the
a
way.
problem. Yeah, get him
Yeah.
out of the way. I think that I don't never want to say that we're always going to have hindsight. I think this team can start the season out 5-0, and we still probably going to go back and say, well, who they should have got, what they should have strengthened, and that's just football. But I think I think it's when you bring in a guy for like Clowney to come in and just I don't know if you wanted what he was asking or what you were willing to offer. We'll never know that, but
Yeah.
when you have enough interest and you play Saturday and you bring him in Sunday, that tells me that you feel that there might be a need to add a veteran as that guy to come off the bench and help you with that pass rush, or you just did not see enough out of I almost say it on the spot. You didn't see enough out of Jadaveon Chason to give you confidence going in that you don't have enough behind Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker. And we talked about this before the show, man. You cannot, and I like Trent Barger. I'm not, it's not bashing time for Trent Barger because I think he's done a hell of a job. They got a strong draft. I think those guys going to really, this might be one of the best overall drafts that they may have had over the last 10 years. Yeah, I think you're going to get a lot of contributors all from these rookies that they drafted. Yes. But I don't like GMs who justify mistakes. When it's wrong, it's wrong. If when we used to say this with Taven Bryan all the time, I'm gonna say it with Caleb. If they haven't showed you enough after 3 seasons,
yeah,
it's not gonna be a magical wand that just gonna come out and say that they're gonna come in on that 4th year and prove everybody wrong. And I hope that they just, I hope that the Jaguars, including Doug Peterson, is not, like surrendering what they need on the defensive front. I think they're good inside. I mean, I don't think there's a problem with what they got inside from Hamilton to
Roy Robinson.
They don't need much help in Roy Robinson and that. But you have to have pressure off the edge in this league. You cannot, I'm not saying you can't win because there's been some teams that have been successful with less than 30 sacks, 35 sacks or whatever it is. But you don't put everything aside to prove a point that this kid, and he's athletic. He's when you're athletic and you show signs in practice, then you have potential. But that's if you're a 4th round pick or a 5th round pick or even a 3rd round pick. It's not when you're a 1st round pick. If you hadn't shown you're justified by now of being worthy of that 1st round pick, it's not going to happen. And I don't want to put the franchise on a lockdown so we can give one guy an opportunity to show what he can do when he hadn't showed it since he's been here. You go out and you don't mortgage the team based on potential because I think the Jaguars got a great chance of being a very good football team. They don't have many weaknesses. Every team got weaknesses. They got a few. But if you're destined in that AFC and you talking about advancing beyond the point where you were last year, then you do what you have to do to have a complete team. You don't mortgage the farm on a guy that you only banking on potential and he hadn't showed it. Because if they had only the one question I had, I think they had opportunity to go out and get a name proven edge rusher who probably would be willing to play that role, not as a starter, just for the fact that there's so much talent on this team. And, the prospect of winning. The winning takes everything above personal gain, But
Yeah.
I don't see it, man. I don't see this kid changing anything between now and when they go up to Indianapolis, that he's gonna be that type of player. They had a scrimmage, 2-hour scrimmage, ones against ones. They had probably more 11 on 11 work in this practice against Detroit than probably any of those workouts they've had with other teams. Not once have I heard yet. I'm still looking on Twitter because I'm not up there, but I ain't hear his name. I heard that
Not
they
once.
had a good pass rush today. I heard Trayvon had a good day. I heard Josh did pretty well. I heard that the rookie right tackle had a great game. Had a great practice.
Oh, against Hutch.
But
I just watched that. Yeah, I just watched his pass rep block against Aiden Hutchinson, and he stoned him.
He's gonna be a good one. But I don't hear anything on Chason. I watched the game, and he was. When they say that quarterback say that he should see ghosts, that's what we see with Chason. He's a ghost when he's on the field.
What they call your boy, the receiver from USC? Man, I can't remember his name right now. Marquise Lee. They called him the albino tiger. Every time you go to the zoo and go to the tiger exhibit, the albino tigers is never there. You never see it. So yeah, that's what we're seeing. But a couple of guys jumped off. Just jumped off the screen to me. Gregory Jr. is one of them. Now they say Gregory Jr. will be in competition for the nickel spot, going into the future. But it was like, no, it was like that's a real battle between him and Trey Herndon. Like that's now. That's not in the future. That's not next year once he gets comfortable. They say the battle for the nickel position is right now between Gregory Jr. and Trey Herndon. Another guy who jumped off the tape while Caleb Vaughn was out there, Yasir Abdullah. Yasir Abdullah looks like a natural pass rusher. Now, he's a young guy. He's a rookie, so you don't know how consistent he's going to be and what you're going to get week to week. But you have a foundation, a wide body, somebody who can move and is natural in his pass rush moves to rush the passer. Anton Harris was another one who jumped off the tape. Tank Bigsby jumped off the tape. Nathan Rourke, the quarterback, jumped off the tape. Man, you got a lot of young guys jumped off the screen and played very well. Oh, Cooper Hodges. Can't forget Cooper Hodges, Jacksonville kid, tugboat, played well. And it was like it's only a matter of time before Cooper, because he played tackle, 4 years tackle at Appalachian State, and they're going to move him in the guard. And they say it's only a matter of time before he's the starter at guard. And the projection is possibly next year him being the starter at guard.
Well, it's coming up like it's coming through.
Yes, what's going on? Yeah. Oh, it's hard for you to hear me and see me.
Yeah, I can, but it's garbling, like it's breaking up.
Oh, I see and hear you fine. So you coming through fine. But yeah, you got a lot of guys who are going to a lot of young guys. I think they're going to contribute, and the want is for them to not have to contribute early, because that means you probably have some injuries. But if these guys just outright beat the veterans in front of them and get in early, I don't mind that at all. Because that's what you want. You want the young guys to step in, when they're ready. And some of them, I think they might be ready sooner than later.
Yeah. But like I say, I agree with you. I like what I see so far. And they doing it without a lot of injuries. I like their physical play. And I even seen some things out of Jordan Smith in that game. I think he had a tackle for a loss. I just think that, and then, going and playing, practicing against Detroit. We don't. I guess we can't forget what Detroit did last year in that 40-14 or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's like
But
what
when
up,
you
Marcus?
match up against a physical team, I mean, I think Detroit. I mean, who knows how far they're gonna go, but I will attest that they're a physical team. They got a good offensive line.
Yes.
And I think when you look at guys like Walker and Josh Allen and Muma, I think those guys can benefit. Well, I've heard that they're not going to be in pads tomorrow. I mean, I thought that 2 days of full pads, and then I wouldn't even play them in the game Saturday if you had two good full 11-on-11s, number ones versus number ones, and a good physical scrimmage. You're going against the pass rush drills with the defensive linemen, the starters going up against their starting offensive line. I think that's the work like a guy like Trayvon Walker and Allen and some others need, probably more important than a preseason game. But I say we're not up there. We can only go by the reports or go by those videos that the Jags distribute on Twitter. They said it was chippy, but the thing is, I can remember back when the Jags were when they had those practices against Tampa a couple of years back, and I remember Tampa was chippy and the Jags wasn't that chippy. But when a Jaguar team can get chippy back, and when they're in their facility up in Detroit, because it's unacceptable for Travis Etienne, like they body slammed them or something like that happened on one of those plays, and even Trevor came to his rescue. And when you got a team that's willing to chip back, that says a lot too, man. That says that, hey, we can play your style, we can talk trash just like you, and we can still handle our business on your turf. Because you're gonna get that during the season.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I had a word of the day for the Jaguars, as far as the training camp, preseason game, these practices with Detroit, and just a description of what I've seen over these last couple of weeks, physicality. This is a totally different team physically. I mean, you talking about guys who are physical, like a Cooper Hodges. Anton Harrison and Cooper Hodges was pancaking people, man. I mean, and with being nasty with it too. It was something that physicality is something that this team has been missing. I mean, we talk about it all the time, how no matter how good the Jaguars are, how tough we are, the defense, rough and tough with John Henderson and Marcus Stroud and those guys, and even the 2017 defense with Jalen and Telvin, Boye, Church, Marcel Darius, the mayor, Yannick, physical, man. We talking about physical. But no matter how physical we've been, Tennessee, who don't even have to be good that year, comes in is like, nope, we're tougher, and punch them straight in the mouth. I think that's done. I think that's over. I think that's changed. I think now you have a foundation of guys. Oh, Brenton Strange. I forgot Brenton Strange jumped off the tape too. I think Brenton Strange is a high-end blocker already. Like they say, he's man hurts, but he can catch. Like he's that good of a blocker.
Yeah.
So they most likely going to keep 4 tight ends, Evan Ingram and Garrett Prince as the move tight ends, guys that can move, and then 2 blockers and Luke Farrell and Brenton Strange, but Brenton Strange can do both. And I wouldn't be surprised if he has a bigger role than people think.
Yeah, he got after it, man. And for a rookie to come in and step in, make a few mistakes. Don't let that be a setback. Get into what he needs to get into. He's a physical player, physical blocker, which is what they need. I mean, I think he's got a bright future here with the Jags, man. And that's what they need, man. You need, I know everybody talk about Evan Ingram and how great he is, but man, you also want to have you want to have depth at that position, because whether we like it or not, the tight end position is probably, other than edge rusher, other than quarterback, edge rusher, wide receiver, I think is right there in the top 4 as far as as far as importance.
Yes. And, so much so you keep it 4. 4 tight ends. Yeah, it's very important.
Yep. So I think we solid at that position, and I like that depth, man. I think the depth stands out to me. I think they're getting stronger as they go along, but I think that just knock on wood, we don't want injuries, but when I think they got position. I think the only thing that I'll be concerned about depth wise would be, on the edge rusher behind Allen and Walker. And that, I think it's a good battle at nickel. That was a concern earlier, but I'm not concerned about nickel, They can always add a veteran cornerback to the mix. And who's to say that they can probably find somebody off the waiver wire after they teams make their final cuts before the regular season begins. But there's no major glaring anything with this football team, man. I just think that you got to knock on wood that you don't have injuries leading up to the opening game against Indianapolis. I mean, that's
they had a few
pretty much
today.
it.
They had a few today because I thought they were going to go back-to-back pads, but they say a couple injuries on both sides, Lions and the Jags, probably had the coaches rethink that.
Yeah, because I heard they was going after it, man. That was a good physical.
What up, Renzo?
Putting your starters out there. The starters got a lot of work today, which that's needed. And it was physical, full pad. I'm pretty certain. I don't know if they were supposed to take to the ground, but I think there was a couple of clashes where they went to the ground.
Yeah.
And
they did.
And then you look at Harrison and the Harrison and Hutchinson matchup. I mean, that's going to get both of them better. Well, we don't worry about Hutchinson, but we do worry about Harrison. Yeah. But and it's I didn't hear a whole lot about Walker Little, but I
heard he had a good day.
Nothing stood out nothing stood out bad. And we just gotta get the the depth a little better on the defensive line a little bit. I think that'll come with reps and let's don't just focus all our attention on the guys that we probably ain't gonna have to worry much about anyway. Because one guy that stood out to me in the game that I definitely say on here that he's got to get better is Shaq Quarterman. He's got to get better, man. You can't drop back in coverage and get beat that bad on the on an inside crossing route and lose your guy like that. I saw in the Cowboy game.
Yeah, Shaq looked a step slower than the other linebackers out there. Another guy who jumped off the tape, and I cannot believe they got him in the 5th round with how good and fluid of an athlete he is, and I think he might be contributing sooner than later, is Antonio Johnson. Antonio Johnson.
You got to get him on the field.
They got to get Antonio Johnson on the field. You got to get that kid on the field.
You got to come up with some packages but you got to get him on the field, man.
He was always around
even
the ball.
on special teams, he's standing out on special teams. And he's big, big and can run, physical, and can cover. So you got to come up with some dime packages or something, but you got to develop something in there and get him on the field because he's ready to play, man. I know that. And to be honest, he wasn't a bad player at Texas A&M, man. I don't know what happened, but from the season ending to the draft, because I don't think he was initially, projected to drop that far. I mean,
no,
I heard anywhere from second to third round. So I don't know what the 411 was on him and why he dropped to the fifth round. But you got to I give Trent Baalke and his group credit to grab him in the fifth round. But I think you're gonna have to put him. You're gonna have to find ways to get him on the field and not just special teams because he's a player.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, he is a player. Yeah, he is a player. Let me get some of these comments. I saw Ridley toast a Lions DB on the clip for a touchdown. That boy was crispy. Yeah, I saw that, Ness. Yeah, he was. I mean, he wasn't even in the frame. The DB wasn't even in the frame.
Yeah.
Calvin was just dropping to the end zone after he caught the ball.
Yeah.
Say Lorenzo, he say Super Bowl bound. I feel it. And Ness say, so the Colts are really going to start Richardson this season. Wow. Yeah, I was like, when I saw that they were going to start him, I said, well, good for him. Good for Anthony Richardson. He's played well enough to where they're like, yo, let's go ahead and start the kid. It's close enough to where, yeah, go ahead. Let's get this era started. Let's get his feet wet. Let's go. I am very glad that we get to see him early, as he progresses, because if he gets better as the season goes along, you want to get him early. So, first game of the season. Yeah, we need that in his house. We'll see how it goes. But is he ready? They seem to think he is. I don't know. And then from his preseason game, he was up and down a little bit, but he had some throws. He had one to Alec Pierce, who just torched Shaquille Griffin for the game-winning touchdown, right in his hand, 55 yards, and he dropped it. So, man, I don't know, but yeah, back to the Jags. I think this draft class and this group of young guys, first and second year players, this draft class, the rookies and the second year guys, I think this is going to be your foundation for what's coming, because you feel like what they're building already is special, but the foundation for this build, I think, is coming from these last two drafts. No question about it.
And one thing that sticks out from covering them in the past and seeing what they do now, I know you can't see a whole lot on TV, but this, not only are they better physically, but they're a faster football team. They're more athletic. They're faster, and I'm not just talking about at wide receiver. I mean, they're faster across the board. From the DBs to even the linebackers to the defensive back. I mean, they're just a faster, more physical football team. And that's the style you have to have. And I mean, when you play in Kansas City, man, you got to have guys who can run. And this team has guys who can play that physical style, but also get back in coverage and run. And they can also run offensively too. So I think that's one of the biggest changes I see: fast and physical. That's been what we talked about earlier, has been the problem with this team. They wanted to be physical, but they could never be out physical the teams they needed to be out physical with, which is the Titans. And now that's not an issue. They'll hit Derrick Henry just like they'll hit any other running back.
Yeah,
they got guys up front that can do it.
Yeah,
and like I say, I think to go to Detroit, don't take any mess, shine on them, because I mean, from those videos, Trevor was throwing that ball with a zip, and the Jag was making big plays. Looked like to me throughout. And when you just look back on what they did, all that chippiness was out there, but hey, they held their own. The offensive line held their own. That's if there's a concern area, that's a concern area. But Detroit got a veteran. I think one of the best positions on Detroit is their offensive line, and this, so I think the Jags showed that they're a team to contend with. On that practice field today.
Yeah, absolutely, man. A much different team, faster, more physical. I mean, and you're going to have to carve out some playing time for a lot of these young guys. Doug Peterson talked about ETN possibly having 1,700 yards rushing this season, but I'm not on board with that. I don't think he should. I don't think he should have that many carries anyway. But I don't think he's not going to physically be able to do so, because Tank Bigsby is going to take carries away from Travis Etienne. He is. The only way he doesn't take a significant amount is if he struggles in pass protection. And I haven't heard about him struggling with pass protection. If he can protect Trevor while Trevor's dropping back in the pocket, Tank Bigsby will be on the field early and fairly often.
Oh, yeah. And he need to be. If he's performing like he's performing, I mean, you got to give him some of the pie too. You got to get him on the field. That's what I say, man. Hey, it's about winning. It ain't about personal service or, taking care of guys' personal objectives and wishes and all that. It's about winning the football game. And if Tank Bigsby, if he's out there running hard and breaking 14, 15-yard runs and can do some of the same thing as ETN, then you got to get him out there on the field. It doesn't matter if he's a rookie and all that learning. I mean, you learn on the field. You don't learn on the sideline. Sure, I'm more impressed with Nathan Ward. I mean, they might have to get him in the game.
Hey, man. Hey, I was searching for my background for the setup, and I was like, you know what? I'm putting Nathan Rourke on there. I started typing out Nathan, and before I could even finish Nathan, he was the first Nathan that came up on Google. I said, man, the kid done made a name for himself, man. I mean, all Nathan guaranteed that he's going to be around in the NFL for a good little while, like whether it's here Nathan in Jacksonville or somewhere else.
Hey man, that's not just a play for the preseason. Hell, they'll be showing highlights of that play in December. Man, caught in this grass and still throw a touchdown. I mean, I tell you, they got depth at quarterback, because hell, he looked better than CJ Beathard to me. So,
hey, and I know Ness right now. I know Ness yelling at his screen, wherever you're watching it on. Tell him, Uncle John, CJ Beathard is terrible. They need to get him out of there. He was talking about that the whole time we was watching the game.
Man, I ain't been impressed with CJ for 2 years. So, man, they got a third string guy that's, hey, he can throw touchdowns while he in the grass. He can roll out and complete passes. Hey, I'm good with him being the backup. We don't want to see him on the field anyway.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Hey, if we got to see CJ and Nathan on the field, we might as well get ready for next season. So, hey.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I don't think CJ Beathard should have a lock position. He ain't showed nothing. He got to go out and produce. Because I tell you what, if Mr. Nathan Ward has another game like he had against the Cowboys, then he's probably going to get a lot of PT time Saturday against Detroit. He plays like that, they need to open it up to open competition for the second string quarterback. But I think you can have 3 quarterbacks. It's just that move him up to second string and move Beathard back to third.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So and he reminds me just a little bit, not a whole lot. Some people brought it up, but that play, the way that he made that play, and just his game because when we were out at the scrimmage, I was like, man, 18 got some wheels on him. It looked like he might have a little bit of game. Mm-hmm. And then early in the game against the Cowboys, I say, man, Nathan can play. I say, and I look where he came from. I said, okay, he came from Canada. Oh, did you see his teammates from the British Columbia, the Lions? And they saw his play. Screen. Now on the big screen, man, they were so happy for him. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. But yeah,
that was nice.
Yeah. That was nice. But it was a little Minshew-esque. You know, it had a little bit of Minshew magic, you know, to it. But I think Nathan's going to be around for a long time, whether it's here or somewhere else. And I think he's eventually going to get a shot somewhere if he continues to show what he showed against the Cowboys.
Oh, no question, man. You brought up Minshew, man. Minshew,
I had to.
I guess he always gonna. He's got the most bad luck of a quarterback in the league, doesn't he?
hey, Ness so stupid. Yeah, Ness so silly. He talking about CJ is now CB, aka Clipboard Beathard. Yeah, he was always that. And yeah, you're right. Clipboard Beathard. Hey, go ahead, put that baseball cap on and go ahead and chill out and collect your money.
Yeah, man. Yeah, deal with wear that scout team jersey, man. I want Nathan. Yeah. Nathan should be the number 2 quarterback. I'm putting it out there now. Nathan should be the number 2 guy.
Yeah, Nathan should be the number 2 guy. So, but we're gonna move on, and we're gonna stay Jags. We talk about Jadaveon Clowney. And remember, I brought up Jadaveon Clowney last week, and I was like, we talked about the pass rushers that were left out there, and I brought up Jadaveon Clowney, and I was like, I don't know. And it seemingly immediately after the game, I guess they saw Caleb play a couple of plays, and it was like, hey, get Jadaveon Clowney on the phone. Get Clowney on the phone, please. We need Clowney. And so he said Doug Peterson said that Jadaveon Clowney had a good visit with the Jaguars, but no deal seems imminent right now. He said adding Clowney will bolster Jaguars defense that features young edge rushers Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker. Doug Peterson's defense in 2022 did a good job of hurrying quarterbacks, and Clowney would be able to help make them better in that area. Although he wasn't at his best last year, the prior year saw him register 9 sacks and 19 quarterback hits in 14 games. Clowney met with the team as he looks for his next squad after 2 seasons with the Cleveland Browns. However, there are no guarantees as of yet that he'll be heading to Duval. Peterson said that Clowney had a good visit with the Jaguars, but that he did not get an offer. The Baltimore Ravens have offered Clowney a contract, giving him another playoff team to join ahead of the season. The Jaguars could be a more intriguing destination for Clowney if he believes their chances of making a playoff run are better. He said, while the Jaguars don't have a pressing need for Clowney, signing this late in the offseason rarely addresses such needs. He would certainly be a solid addition for depth purposes. Their division is not expected to be competitive unless rookie QB C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson are great from the get-go, but they still have work to do in order to be an elite class in the AFC. So, I mean, I have no problem with them doing this. I think they should do it with him. Go look at whatever pass rushers are still out there, at least have meetings with them and talk to them, see where their head is at, see what they want, see what they'll, take or whatever, see what kind of role they're looking for and how they can contribute to the team. Because as we said, it's time to pull the plug on the Caleb Chase-on experiment. It's over. It's done. Finito. Get him up out of here and go ahead and bring a veteran in.
Couldn't say it any better. Time to pull the plug, and definitely, I just suggest just cut him. Don't put him on the 53 man, and just move forward. The one thing with Clowney, I hope that he, accepts his role. I mean, if he was assigned, his role won't be as a starter, and I don't, maybe that might be something that he's got to really consider, as a backup role. I don't know. But, I think it'd be good to have him. I don't know what, I heard some concerns about the locker room and that kind of thing. But, I mean, it's always good to have a veteran. I mean, a veteran who could impact you. You never know when you're gonna need a big moment from a guy that been there. We're in August now, but we don't know how that season gonna go in November and December, man. You don't know when a guy can just shine out of nowhere, and you got him on the roster, and he's been building since September, and I mean, I think you need a guy like that, but especially to improve your you got to get you got to put pressure on the quarterback in this league. You can't have quarterbacks rolling around. They run, they do all the kind of things. So you want to put as much pressure as you can. I do believe you put pressure on the quarterback from the interior. That probably have even more of a greater of effect. But I'm not. The jury's out, man. I think from what I've seen so far, I say this. I think Josh Allen is show. I mean, I think he's given a lot of. I think he's shown a lot of disruption and things like that. Yeah. He looks like he's ready to have a big season, but
he does.
We got a long season ahead. he looks ready. I mean, one thing that stood out to me during that open practice they had at the stadium, that he looks ready. He looks ready to play the part, and it also seems like he understands what his situation is. He hadn't played well since his rookie year. He don't need to read the press clippings. I think he understands that, hey, it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
But I just want consistency, man. That's it. I want him to have a great year this year, and then I would like for him to have an even better year the next year. But just be consistent. If you want to go out, you go out and predict that you want to set the sack record, then get it done. Don't talk about it. Be about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to leave it right there. We're going to stay in football, though. We're going to go to Michael Oher.
One more.
Now, some of you.
Go ahead. One more thing, man. Do you think that they're going to sign this? Do you think Clowney will be in a uniform here in Jacksonville?
I don't know. The fact that he left said it was a good visit, but they say no deal is imminent, leads me to believe that probably not. Because if so, I would think that he'd be probably in Detroit with them right now. Maybe not practicing right away, but he'd probably be in Detroit with them right now had they had plans to sign him, or whether he was going to end up here. I think that that window was when he was here, because this is just my thinking. I understand, you as a team, you got a little bit of leverage or whatever, because there's not many teams that are, trying to sign him or whatever. So you can kind of play the wait and see game. But he already has another contract offer from the Baltimore Ravens. So if he was your guy and he was who you wanted, he shouldn't leave Jacksonville without a deal. So I'm hard pressed to believe that if he will have a deal here.
Well, I just hope they address it, man. Whoever they bring in, they gotta bring in somebody and get rid of this. Get rid of this K. Levon, because we can't rest our hopes on this kid, man. It's over. Get rid of him. You heard it from us. Cut the cord.
It's over. It's over. He been in the New Haven for too long. It's time to go ahead and let it go.
Because when you can't get off block, this is, let me say this thing, we get off to our next topic, but when you can't get off, he got the same sickness that Taven Bryan had. You can't used to, no, and I tell you what, even though that he had Trayvon Walker had a pretty good practice and he looked pretty decent in that game, but the one thing that these guys got to understand, you can't stand straight up to get off a block. You got to bend your back. You got to have leverage. You got to use your hands. And every time I see K. Levon, I see the same mistakes all the time. He's always high, which is not it's one thing to have your head up, but it's another to be straight up, not bent, and you just you're in an easy spot to get blocked, and he can't get off a block. That's it.
That's it.
If you can't do it, if you didn't do it 3 years ago, you're not going to be able to do it now. It's called instinctive football, and he don't have that natural gift. You got to be instinctive to be successful in football, man.
Yeah. No, you have to. So, yeah. Speaking of instincts, Mr. Michael Oher, most people know him from the movie The Blind Side. He's telling a story of I think it's the Tuohys, and how they basically, he thought that they had adopted him, but they had him sign conservatorship papers. So they pretty much had control over his image and his likeness. The movie Blind Side grossed over $300 million, and Michael said he's not seen that money. And they pretty much used that to line their pockets. And he was under the impression that he had been adopted by them, but they were actually the conservatorship papers. So, I mean, which is a very interesting story. But the Tuohys have, they clap back and they say, hey, this is a shakedown. He trying to get $15 million from us. He told us if we didn't pay him, he was gonna go public with the story. And his claims are hurtful, absurd, and outlandish. And I did hear somebody make some jokes say, so he went from The Blind Side to Get Out. yeah, probably so. So I'm gonna read some off of this. We're gonna talk about it. So Sean and Leanne Tuohy are calling Michael Oher's claim claims that they enriched themselves at his expense. Outlandish, hurtful, and absurd, and part of a shakedown by the former NFL offensive tackle, whose relationship with the family was the inspiration for the movie The Blind Side. At a news conference on Wednesday afternoon, attorneys for the Tuohy family said Oher's claims that he signed away his rights to The Blind Side are false. Each member of the Tuohy family, including Oher, received about $100,000 in profits from the movie, the attorney said. That amount is different from what other families may have claimed. On Monday, Sean Tuohy told the Daily Memphian, "We didn't make any money off the movie." Said, well, Michael Lewis, the author of the book that inspired the movie, gave us half of his share. He said everybody in the family got an equal share, including Michael. It was about $14,000 each. He said in a statement first issued Tuesday by attorney Martin Singer to TMC.com and later obtained by the Associated Press, Singer said the Tuohys are heartbroken and accused Oher of threatening to plant a negative story about them unless they paid him $15 million. The statement says agents negotiated a small advance from the production company for the Oscar-nominated movie The Blind Side, which was based on the book written by Sean Tuohy's friend Michael Lewis. That included a tiny percentage of net profits divided equally, with the Tuohys making good on that pledge. Singer said the Tuohys hope Oher regrets his recent decisions and that they can reconcile. He said in the meantime, however, they will not hesitate to defend their good names, stand up to the shakedown, and defeat this offensive lawsuit. Say Oher filed a petition on Monday in Shelby County Probate Court asking a judge to terminate a conservatorship initiated by the Tuohys in August 2004, months after he turned 18. The family's attorney said Wednesday that the Tuohys intend to end the conservatorship. So they do have it. So Oher discovered this lie to his chagrin and embarrassment in February of 2023, when he learned that the conservatorship to which he consented on the basis that doing so would make him a member of the Tuohy family, in fact, provided him no familial relationship with the Tuohys, according to his petition. In a conservatorship, the conservator is legally allowed to make decisions on another person's behalf without technically making them a family member. The person with a disability or other challenge only needs to sign the proper legal documents to grant conservatorship, as Oher did. Under adoption laws, an adoptee legally becomes a permanent member of the applicant's family. Adoption laws vary by state, with a few states placing age limits on adoption. Tennessee, the home state of Oher and the Tuohys, is among the states that allow adults to adopt someone who is over 18, according to law firm Anderson Hunter. So he said Oher moved in with the Tuohys just before his senior year of high school and later attended Sean Tuohy's alma mater, Mississippi. Oher asked for a full accounting of his assets, considering his life story produced millions of dollars, and says he's received nothing. Oher, who has never been a fan of the movie about his life, also asked in the petition that the Tuohys be sanctioned and required to pay both compensatory and punitive damages determined by the court. The Tuohy family statement says the idea that they sought to profit off of Oher is not only offensive, it's transparently ridiculous. The statement notes the Tuohys are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and the notion they would connive to withhold a few $1,000s defies belief. They have consistently treated him like a son and one of their three children. Singer said in the statement his response was to threaten them, including saying that he would plant a negative story about them in the press unless they paid him $15 million. They say Singer noted evidence exists in profit participation checks and studio accounting statements from the movie that won Sandra Bullock an Oscar. Say Oher refused to cash what the statement calls small profit checks as part of his shakedown effort. The statement says the Tuohys deposited Oher's share into a trust account set up for his son. So it's a lot more of this, but I think we got the gist of it. And man, it's this is unfortunate. It's I will want to reserve judgment, whether it's Michael or the Tuohys, and whatever it is. But we just talked about the claims that Michael made can be easily identified through the paperwork that was signed. So, and from what the attorney said, that they do have a conservatorship. So if that is the case, and these allegations are patently false and so absurd, why did he sign a conservatorship paperwork? Why are you his conservators? Why is that? Why did he think he was signing adoption papers, but that's what he was actually signing? You can't get past that part. You can't, because the attorney confirmed that that's what you have on Michael. So, and then Michael himself, he hated The Blind Side because the way they portrayed him to be some dumb ninja who didn't know nothing. And here come these people coming in to save him from the hood and the streets and teach him football and teach him life and teach him how to brush his teeth and wash his clothes and iron and all of that. And that was not the case. Michael was already a very smart guy. He was already determined to make something out of himself. He already knew football. He could read and write because they made it seem like he couldn't read and write. He could do all of those things. And he had an issue with the movie and how he was portrayed. So, man, it's I don't know, man. What's your thoughts on this, Mr. Reid?
Pretty much what you said. I mean, back in the years covering high schools, and man, I always question families who take in athletes. I mean, I don't know why. I know it'd be some situations, but I've always questioned families taking in athletes. I used to cover a kid named Roosevelt Potts. He went and played running back, went to the Colts. He had his own family, but he, somehow or another, he ended up staying with the coach, and he was a good man being the coach and with his wife and their family and all that. But, hey, I could have been blind and didn't know football, but I knew this kid was going to be something special. I think sometimes that happens, that they're not just looking at the payday for when they take them in. They're looking down the line of what this kid can possibly potentially, become, which is a big-time football player, big-time money. So I've always had a question about families taking in, out of nowhere. A lot of times they do it just to have the kid in the district to play at the school. A lot of private schools does, that's part of it. They have a kid staying with, the coach or something like that. But I also understand hardships too. But I think this is going to turn out to be an ugly war. That's what I think it's going to be. I think the tours and Oher, I think this is going to go down. It's probably going to have to be settled in the courts or what. And the truth's going to be painful, and it's going to hurt because a lot of America watched that movie. And, I don't, I can understand some of the reason why he doesn't like the movie.
Yes.
They did portray him. I know they had. He had situations with the father, and he didn't know football, and the mother taught him some things about football. He went to this big private school, and he's like an outcast, and like a big clumsy big guy. So I don't
like
like
a lovable oaf. Yeah. Yeah, they portrayed him as a lovable oaf in that movie.
Yeah, being saved by the privileged family. So no, I wasn't a big fan of the movie, but I mean, we got to see how things go. Man, I tell you, it's just you can't believe all the things you see in movies in Hollywood. Hollywood really do a portrayal of people's lives, even when it's supposed to be the truth about people in an autobiography type movie, but they add so many things in there so they can expand the audience. And most of the audience, I don't know who they trying to target, but a lot of times it don't be us. I leave it at that.
Yeah. Michael, and I was listening to him on the Jim Rome show, and Michael said that he was an All-American before he moved in with the Tuohys. I did not know that. The movie definitely didn't depict that. I mean, he's like it was very tough being in the locker room and your teammates think you're illiterate, and it's hard for you to pick up plays and the playbook, and they think you can't pick up football. Like I understand how that affected him, but man, we'll see how it play out because it's going to have to play out in the courts. Everything is going to be revealed because they're going to have to go in the books, and whether it's the book and the movie and all the proceeds, all these things, there's a paper trail. You go back and you can find out who got what, and we'll see. But for the time being, though, I am with you, and I never thought about it the way until you said just now. But I've always kind of looked when people take in athletes, that's not his family, and I'm like, I always wonder about that because those guys do get preyed on. And we talking about just their family. We're not talking about outsiders. Those athletes, those young promising athletes, where like you say, Roosevelt Potts, a blind man could see that boy was going to the league, and they get preyed on by family and friends. So I could just imagine, people who are not family and friends and what they do when they come across these athletes who don't have much, and you come to offer them a better life, and what your motive is.
Yeah, I agree. And when you want to be family, you got to be family, man. It ain't just, okay, we're going to be family until you get to college, and then you get that NFL contract, and then it's going to be family that we got our hands out. So,
yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah, but we're going to leave it right there. And we're going to go into some Formula One, F1 racing. Something that I haven't done much watching of, only seen a little bit. But talking about Danica Patrick, and I did watch, when she was in it, every now and then I watch a little bit just to see what she would do and see how successful she would be, being the, first female F1 driver to compete nationally. So it says Danica Patrick, a former NASCAR and IndyCar driver, revealed an interesting stance on having female Formula One drivers, insisting females should not be there just for the sake of it. Say Formula One has been pushing for having female drivers amongst its ranks and has lately launched the F1 Academy, a racing series intended to develop female racing talent with the hope of having an F1 female driver. Susie Wolf, wife of Mercedes boss Toto Wolff, is a former DTM racer and Williams development team was appointed as managing director of the F1 Academy. She has also served as the team principal for the Venturi Formula E team. However, former race Patrick Former racer Patrick, who now serves as a pundit on Sky Sports, revealed she has an opinion about female drivers which may not be in line with the F1's current direction. Speaking on the Sky Sports F1 podcast, Patrick was asked about the prospect of having a female racing driver join F1. Patrick began, she said, "Well, you're assuming I want that. You're assuming that is important to me, and it's not." I mean, she opened up spitting fire. Like, oh my goodness. I was like, it's always an interesting stance I have on it. I think what makes the sport really popular is great racing. You can have half the field out there women and have it be follow the leader, and it's not going to be interesting to watch. Hit him in the jaw. Good racing, and that's what we have so much of these days in Formula One. I mean, pretty much everything other than Max is a toss-up for who's going to be second, third, fourth, and fifth that weekend. And so that's what makes it really appealing. And so I think as someone who obviously was a girl, you just got to come up like normal. The winner of the 2008 the Indy Japan 300 insisted all F1 Academy races will take place over F1 racing weekend. Oh, okay. So she explained, I do have a little bit of not a criticism, but an opinion about female series is that it's fine. It can give an opportunity for some who might not get a chance otherwise to show what they can do. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to race against guys. So when you watch golf, you watch that a lot of times. A golfer that's maybe not ranked as high will rise to the occasion with whoever he's golfing with. And I think that tends to happen in all sports. That's why you see some of the best wanting to practice to be with the best, because then they get better. If you bench yourself off of something that's not the best, then it's going to affect your effort level, your mental goal, what you envision yourself doing. So you really have to put yourself in the toughest situations, and you might as well do it early because it's only going to get harder. So I just think that giving proper tests to be able to see if a female driver is fast enough is a great way to know if there should be a next step forward. But as far as anything beyond that, I think they should be racing with the guys. I think racing is the same series, and they've just got to get people around them that believe in them. I think more times that you put yourself in a position to show what you can do, the better off you are, and it's better to be in the car than not. So I just think more cars, more track time, more opportunities to show what you can do. It's just always a good thing, man. And I wish I found the audio clip, but the interviewer, you could tell he was like, his body language, he was like, he wasn't expecting it, and he probably got a little uncomfortable because, you know, he was on some, you know, women empowerment trip, and we want women in racing and all that. And Danica was like, hold on, partner, slow your roll. Like, this female academy is cool. She said, but it's like follow the leader. They're not getting better, and they're not actually doing anything. If they actually want to get better, they have to race against men, which means you need to start where the men start and then work your way up like she did. Giving them opportunities is not going to be interesting in the sport, and she's not going to be successful because she's racing against women. She has to cut her teeth against men. And a lot of people had a problem with that. But I have no problem with what Danica said. You're talking to the person who actually did it. Why would you have a problem with what she had to say? But we are in the soft society.
Yeah. That's pretty much it sums it up. Yeah, that sums it up. I ain't really got much to add. You know, we gotta live in society, like she says, and sometimes we just have to accept for what it is, man. Sometimes you just can't find the other way around it. You just, in order to be a better driver, go race the men.
Yeah. She's like, handouts are not going to be entertaining to the fans. It's not. She said I guess she's seen it. She's been a part of it. She's like, this is not going to do it. So yeah. So it is what it is. I just want to talk about that real quick, but that was very, very interesting to me. So we're gonna move on, go to a little NBA, and we're gonna get on up out of here. We're gonna talk about your boy James Harden, Mr. I don't want to be here, so I'm gonna show up out of shape so you can get rid of me, James Harden. You know, man, we talking about a guy who played the style of basketball that Kobe Bryant, he told everybody, he's like, James Harden doesn't play winning basketball. You're not going to win anything playing the basketball the way he plays basketball. It's just what it is. That no longer works. That will never work. I don't think it ever did work. I mean, it's good to put some butts in the seats and, you be successful. You might make the playoffs, but as far as winning a title, it's not sustainable. But James Harden, once again, for whatever reason, Daryl Morey is a glutton for punishment, and he likes pain because James Harden just straight up called him a liar.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's unmoved by what James said. He plans on keeping him and supposedly signing him to a max contract. I would not want James Harden anywhere near my team. I'm sorry, in any capacity for any amount of money. I just don't think he's a winning basketball player, and that's just my opinion from the outside looking in. I don't think he's dedicated. I think he's a distraction, and when James gets in his moods where it's about James, he can wreck the team, as he has. It's just what it is.
Yeah, I think that it's just bad when a guy. I mean, let's put all the facts on the table, man. This guy had a contract. He had 2 max contracts from Daryl Morey, one in Houston, one in Philly. And I've heard it's over, like, got to be over about $250 million that Morey, then played a role in him getting these max deals. Now, the rumor has it that they were negotiating another mega contract for him over the summer. Talks broke down. He obviously opted in. He opted in for $36 million. My thing is, man, who in the world is disgruntled, upset? A man done basically sign you to up to about $250 million. And I know it's your talent. I don't like for the pinpoint that a guy had something to do, with that type of money, and he owe him something for allowing him to get these contracts. I'm not saying that, but I mean, I have never seen a guy so disgruntled, always turn on the team, always. I mean, it's almost like a broken record. At some point he's gonna get upset. At some point he's gonna ask for a trade. If he don't get the trade, then he's gonna show it on the court. Yeah. He's gonna come to camp out of shape. He's gonna have an attitude. He don't really get along with teammates. And we know what he does after the games. And it's just like,
yes.
Do this guy understand? I'm gonna say this because it's been out there. I think ESPN, somebody reported. I don't think he understands that the door to being out of the league is just as easy it is to enter the door. And he's not the same player he was 4 years ago. He's not that player. And he might, the best situation that he may don't even realize, his best situation might be sticking it out with Philly and playing this. He's getting $36 million. He opted in for $36 million, which is the Philly said, we're going to pay you. Who in their right mind going to be mad at the world and call a GM a liar when he's making $36 million? And to be honest, I'm going to say it. He don't deserve it. He's not a $36 million a year player. And he doesn't deserve that money. But it's James Harden. James Harden don't understand that, man. They can't trade you. You opted in. That means if you opt into their contract, who in the world going to take on $36 million to pay you?
Yeah.
Not a contender.
Nope.
The Clippers tried. They tried to have, they had serious trade talks with the Clippers. But the Clippers can't give up half of their roster to match that contract and send good players back and reroute players to Philly. And then you bring him in. They got to change their whole style of play for James Harden. And that's the thing, man. He's becoming his own cancer.
Yes.
And if he don't watch it, he's gonna talk himself out of the league, man. But that's crazy. $36 million. That's almost like taking a trip around the world and you still unhappy for free. That's like winning the lottery and you still not happy.
Right. Absolutely. Yes. What James Harden needs to do, he needs to go back and look at the careers of, say, a Terrell Lawrence, a Randy Moss, guys like that. Even Chad Ochocinco, Chad Johnson. Go back and look at those guys' careers, and it's a bunch more guys, but those all three off the top of my head. Once the baggage outweighed the talent, they were gone. They could all still play. All of them could still play, especially T.O. and Chad. Chad definitely, and T.O. still could play. Both of them, all three of them, all of them could still play. But the baggage that they brought outweighed the talent, so they were out of the league. Teams didn't want to deal with it. And the same thing is going to happen with James because he's not going to stop. For him to come out and call the GM a liar, that's a fireable offense right there. I want you out of my building. I want you gone. Like, those things are supposed to stay in-house. You're supposed to have some type of class and decorum about yourself. I don't care what the talks break down. You don't do that because now when we go back to the negotiating table and now when we talk, it's awkward as hell now. Like, you just called me a liar. So no, you have to go. I'm sorry. It's over. Go back to Houston and go eat chicken wings in a strip club in Houston. Go do that because I don't want you here in Philadelphia anymore.
Well, they don't want him in Houston either. So he ain't going to be with the Rockets. They don't want him. So. But yeah, man, he typifies a guy who sees himself bigger than the team. And that's the worst thing you can be as an athlete. You're not a team player. You're bigger than the team. And you're setting a bad example he's not a role model. He's just setting a bad example for kids, man. It's not a me first world. And it's a privilege to be an athlete. And anybody who complaining on getting he's getting $36 million to play basketball for a season, which almost double the amount of most players' salaries, and you still moaning and about to say a cuss word, but I'm not. And that's bad for him. It's bad business. Who's gonna want a player to advertise their products? And a guy crying and calling a GM a liar because they didn't get an additional deal done after he makes $36 million. See, that's another thing to understand. No matter what, he's still going to get $36 million. The only thing is if they negotiated a contract, but a new contract wouldn't start till after this season. So not only is he a crybaby, he's like, he's just greedy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Not a James Harden, man. Yeah.
So, man, we're going to leave it right there. I can't wait to check out these Jags in Detroit. I doubt the starters play a whole lot, but I'm wanting to see the young guys anyway. Shoot, I think Rourke should start the game. Let Rourke start. I will start him.
Yeah,
I will start him so I can see him. Yeah, I will start Rourke because I think some of the starters from the Lions are going to play. Just a few, not many from what I think I heard earlier. So I will start Rourke. I want to see exactly what I'm getting. And depending on how he plays, man, a clipboard CJ, he's going to be the third string quarterback.
Put him third string. Ain't no loyalty when you ain't producing. Yeah. If you don't produce, you don't need to be second string or third string or maybe even on the roster.
Yeah.
Jay Levon. Come on, man. I ain't gonna say it no more, man.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm back preaching like when Tavon
Taven Bryan.
I don't want to be like that no more.
Yeah. So, but
don't mention his name. Don't mention his name.
Yeah, we gotta let it go. We gotta let it go. We gotta let it go. Him, he that who shall not be named on the list, Taven Bryan, Caleb Von Chason, and Urban Meyer. We done with it. We are done with it, man. But I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Go ahead.
I said, don't forget about that first round cornerback too.
Yeah, CJ Henderson, he on the list too. Man, look, the Jalen Ramsey trade bugs me every day. I swear, it does. That trade bugs me every day, man. Because you put Jalen on this team, oh man, oh my God. But hey, it is what it is. But I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on all of my social medias. Follow Mr. Reid on Twitter. And we'll be back in the barbershop with more sports talk, football, basketball. Shoot, we talked about baseball and Tim Anderson getting knocked out the other week. So, hey, we're going to talk about it all. We're going to talk about it all, man. So stay tuned and we will be back. But until next time, we talk to you guys later, man.
Peace out.
Peace out, y'all.
Folks.